want to check out the slides, there's the link. I think I also have the link out there in one of my recent tweets if you want to type in. Before I get started, I want to thank my bosses at Franciscan University, Ken, Lisa, and Tom, for letting me live stream during work hours and for letting me come down here and picking up the tab for my flight. And I want to thank Quincy and Bo from Free Code Camp, who let me stream on their channel, and also all the Nodevember organizers, volunteers, and sponsors. I really appreciate everything that you all did. Okay, so who am I? I'm a Catholic husband and father of 4. My kids are 8, 6, 3, and 1. I'm a front-end developer at Franciscan University in Steubenville, and I volunteer at Free Code Camp on their YouTube channel. I also work with someone who used to hang out works right next to me. That's what he claims. I believe him. He's an honest guy. But RZA and Ghostface Killer used to chill with him. I don't know what went down with Method Man, but he won't talk about it. Not sure. All right, so I'm going to tell you my story about how I got into live coding and what the community's like now. And then at the end, I'm going to give some tips for anybody that likes to live code of maybe some areas that I've improved in and some best practices that I've stumbled upon. So 1 year ago, I did not want anyone to see my code. I worked alone. I've been a developer for like 5 years. The first 3 years, I was freelancer, worked by myself, and then the last 2 years, I have worked in a department where there's one other person, the Wu-Tang guy, that does some web dev, but we always worked on separate projects. So I was always afraid, like, am I even doing this right? Like, nobody ever sees it. So instead of asking somebody if I was doing it right, I just hid all the code in private Git repos. 7 months ago, it was about April, I'm not sure if I added that right, but sometime in April of this year, I thought, hey, I'm going to do some live coding. And my thought process, as far as I can remember, was I would really like it if some of the students in the computer science program would know what we're doing in my department and maybe want to be an intern or a student worker. And so maybe if I live stream my work, they'll want to do what I do. But I didn't want to do pre-recorded videos, because that's what is a lot of extra work to edit. And also, there's so many good tutorials out there, I just didn't think I could top that. But what I could do was make mistakes live in front of other people, because I'm good at that, and then try to fix it. And I didn't know of anyone else doing that. So I thought that was valuable. That was something that wasn't out there, especially for beginners to see, hey, here's this guy that's employed full-time as a front-end developer, and he messes up all the time, and then he still launches sites and apps. So that was the idea. Oops, let me go back one more thing. So I live streamed for about like 2 or 3 days, and then the first streams were terrible. I put a message on the Free Code Camp forum saying, here's a link to my stream. I don't know what I'm doing. If anybody has any advice for me, I'd appreciate it. So the link started getting a lot of clicks, and then Bo from Free Code Camp, who does all the JavaScript tutorial videos, sends me an email and says, hey, are you interested in live streaming for Free Code Camp? And at the time, my channel probably had 10 subscribers, and Free Code Camp's channel had 170,000 subscribers. So I said, yeah, for sure. And so I did a little bit, and then I talked with Quincy, who's in charge of Free Code Camp, and I asked, could I stream every day? Yeah, that would be awesome. So I stream 5 days a week, unless I have a meeting or something like that. 5 days a week, 1 to 2 hours every day. And I've been doing it for the last 7 months. So just to give you an idea of how it's gone, I thought I would show you a bunch of quotes of comments that people have made from the community. So I'm going to show you what they said about the stream, And then I'll talk a little bit more about kind of the awesome stuff that has grown from these streams. So the first couple are really encouraging. And then I'm also going to show some criticism. So this is cool. I really like that. Oh wait, is that me? I just finished these slides this morning, sorry. This is, oh yeah, I just said all that, and I just said all that. Okay, here's where it's at. Sorry, everybody. Okay, so the community that has grown, which you'll see quotes from in the next slide. I had this presenter mode where I was supposed to be able to see the next slide before you all see it, but it didn't work, so it's the first time I use this. Spectacle, it's React slides. Anyway, we have people from all ages. We've had people for sure as young as 10, I think even younger than that, all the way to people in their 60s watching the streams. We've had a lot of contributions like pull requests, people helping out and answering questions. So we have a lot of developers that are really good. I don't even know why they watch me because they're good, better than me. But they help me out a lot, and then they help out a lot of the new people when they have questions. A lot of times somebody asks a question and I don't even answer it because they have 5 answers from people who are just amazing that have given them great answers. So they're just, I'm just amazed at the people who are willing to give their time, you know, for free and help people out and help me out. And then the response is just overwhelmingly positive. I was so afraid that people would watch and say, dude, you have no idea what you're doing. How did you get hired? And that it hasn't happened. I feel really lucky because I read YouTube comments on other people's coding videos, and like, I just want to say I'm sorry if you're like, I don't know, like, who is this guy? He doesn't get all the hate comments. I don't know. I'm just lucky, I guess, or maybe that a lot of people don't watch me, so I just don't get it. But so far, it's been super positive. So here's some of the really positive quotes. So I just kind of picked out some silly ones. Like that one, simple. This one is cool because this is exactly what I thought when I started. Like, I thought it would be cool if I mess up and then fix it. And so that's exactly what a lot of people say. Like, that's the value in it. And yeah, it is no cuts. I don't edit anything. I don't rehearse anything going in. It's just whatever I have to work on that day at that time. That's what I'm streaming. And this has been cool. I never expected this, but we'll see. I think I have a couple quotes in here. People who weren't web developers, who weren't into that, watch it. I don't know how they even stumble on it, but then afterwards they tell me now they want to learn more. That's really cool. Also React. I don't know if anybody on the React team wants to send me some swag, but I'm pushing people to React. I mostly do React stuff. And then this is cool, like, that people are watching. I love that new people watch. That's who I was kind of targeting at anyway, but like, this guy's watching with his sister, like, I don't know. That just makes me happy that they're watching like that. We got conversions to JavaScript. This guy's a Java developer of 10 years, and now he's come over. I like all languages, but I think that's cool. I just like the irony of me putting up a quote. This one's a little longer, but I thought I'd put up there. It's just so sincere. Because I think this has been part of the key to keeping the community so positive, is staying positive when I do get negative feedback. Just kind of overly positive, like purposely overly more positive than I should respond to things. because I think that's contagious. There have been times when somebody will say something negative, and the other people in the stream that like the stream will start to defend me. And I got to come in with a really positive thing, like, well, that was a legitimate comment. You'll see some of the other ones. I'll tell you how I respond to them in a minute, some of the negative ones. And that just kind of puts an end to it. And then sometimes by the end of the stream, the person that was upset is now like, hey, this was really cool. So it kind of just stops the potential like big argument right there. And I think I've been really lucky with that too, because I see the other stuff people deal with. This is also a cool thing. This person, I obviously left out all the names, but this person who said this has been in the streams almost since the very beginning. I can't say they're from India. I have enough people to watch from India that nobody's going to guess. But with situational anxiety, and this is a place that every day they can come and talk with other developers. You know, they don't have to leave their house, but they can feel comfortable. That's really cool to be able to provide something like that. And just on a personal note, I suffer from depression, and there are times when I don't want to get out of bed. I want to call in sick. I want to work from home, and instead I go in because I look forward to the stream so much. And when I stream and I talk with all these other people, I feel better. And so it's helped me as well. These are the comments that I get the most negative. So they all have a theme. And my response usually to this is, when they say I talk too much, I say, I know, I think so too. And I work on that. And I'll tell you how I've worked on that when I go over the tips section. So I do tend to talk a lot and go off on tangents. But that's the extent. Those are the worst criticisms that I've gotten. It's just insane. And again, I'm sorry to any of you that have gotten a lot worse, because I know what happens. I see it on Twitter and on YouTube, so very sorry. If any of you make comments like that that are awful, please stop. I don't think there's anybody here. You guys are all cool. Yeah, but it's amazing. Like, that's it. And I agree with that criticism. It's not even bad. It's honest. So here's what's kind of grown out of all that. I mentioned before the collaboration. People from all over the world are submitting pull requests. At times I feel like a project manager. My mornings are just full of reviewing pull requests, which is weird, going from working by myself to now I just spend time reviewing code, which is great for me because I have to learn what they did before I merge it. So I've learned a lot. I have, the last 2 projects that I've worked on, I'm not the top contributor for. In fact, the last project I worked on, I am the 3rd highest contributor. There is a 15-year-old in the Himalayas that is now the top contributor on the last 2 projects that I've done. And there's someone else, I can't remember their age, but I think they're young, maybe late teens, early 20s, who's from Spain but recently moved to Germany and is the number 2 contributor. So I really love when everybody helps and contributes like that. But it's good. It's good for me, right? Because I get all that work done, right? But they also get, they get extra, pull requests on their GitHub profile. They get to build up their portfolio, and then I always give credit on the stream. So anybody that watches, they see I review the pull requests. I thank them profusely, and so I like to think that it's an even exchange. And I'm not benefiting too much from that. And so it definitely helps build up confidence. So many people have said, they ask me questions like, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know, if I can handle, like, can can I handle React? Like, should I study this first? Or even, am I ready to even put out resumes? And by talking to everybody and realizing that kind of like, we're all at times not even sure what we're doing, right? Because, you figure out on the fly what you have to do a lot of times, right? And then they feel confident. And we've actually gone through, several people have started out at that point, and then they watch some streams, they start building some projects, and they talk about, hey, I applied for some positions. And then they say, hey, I got an interview. And then they come back a week or two later and say, I got the job. And then I don't hear from them for a long time because they're working. And then usually they'll get in touch with me because they can't watch the streams anymore because they're at work, but they'll send me a message on Twitter or something and say like, hey, here's the job I got and this is what we're doing. Sometimes it's like, I can't talk about what I'm doing, but it's cool. And so that's like, I love that part. People are actually, like, it's changing their lives. So those are like, I think some of the best results for me and other people. And personally, this is my favorite part. So the first one I just talked about, right? Seeing people go, make that journey to being a full-time developer, and then building all the relationships, which, like I said, at first, I didn't know if anybody would even watch. I got kind of lucky and had a built-in audience when I went with Free Code Camp. But now, there are people from all over the world that I get to interact with every day. I work in Steubenville, Ohio. The diversity in Steubenville, Ohio is like non-existent. I mean, it's, so there are cultures that I would never get to interact with, where I'm at, that now I get to. I'm like wishing people happy holidays for holidays I've never heard of before. And they get to tell me about what it is. And I get people from parts of the world where I don't want to get anybody in trouble, so I'll try to be as vague as possible. I guess there's no way around it. It's illegal for them to be on the internet watching me, and they have to watch through VPNs. And we actually had some people really want to get out of those countries and try to set them up. I haven't successfully got anybody out of the country, so I don't want to claim any of that. But at least I've talked to them, a little bit and tried to do what I could. So it's crazy. People from Middle Eastern countries, from Iran, right? I work for a Catholic university, and I have Iranians watching the show. Like, I couldn't advertise for that university in Iran without getting arrested, most likely. But we can both work on the same code and connect, and it's just like, I think that's beautiful. I have had some times where there's arguments. Two people from somewhere near like Pakistan, India, were getting into some heated argument. It was in a language I didn't know, but some third party was translating for me and saying, oh, they're arguing about something. Luckily, we were able to just kind of calm it down, but there are definitely tensions. Occasionally that comes out. There are tensions between different groups. But so far, we've been able to just keep everything calm, and we all get along. I also really love helping viewers with their projects. So sometimes when we start a project, it actually ends up being a nice boilerplate. And so people will clone that and use it for their own projects, for personal portfolios, even for client projects. And then they'll mention, like, I can't get this thing to work. So it's been really cool to be able to submit a pull request to some of their projects and help them out. And especially when they're trying to build up their client base on freelancing and things, it's nice. And not just me helping out, the other people in the stream will help out. So we all kind of help out on each other's projects now. And that's been totally unexpected, but just really cool. All right, so, great. I was afraid I wouldn't have time for this part. But I'd like to just give some advice from what I've learned. I mentioned my first streams were terrible. Video quality was terrible. I said constantly. I made myself go back and watch it and feel the pain of my viewers. And then I still say it, but it's better. So here's what I've done. So I know I talked too much and didn't code enough. So I've organized my sessions, my live coding sessions by Pomodoro cycles. So if you're not familiar with Pomodoro, at least the way I do it is 25 minutes of coding and then a 5-minute break. Well, instead of the break, that's when I go to the live chat and I answer questions and read out comments. And then I do another 25-minute session. And I go back and forth. I try to do at least 2 25-minute code sessions. And then after that, then I go to the live chat, and just the whole second part of the stream is just answering questions and discussing things in the live chat. So that's allowed me to keep focused. So I think a lot of the comments about talking too much came early on. So hopefully I've addressed that enough that people can stand it now. I do check back in the chat occasionally. If I get stuck on something, the people in the chat see my mistakes before I do. So if I spend 5 minutes trying to debug something, I look over to the live chat and I see 3 people writing in all caps, like, look at the live chat, it's line 37. Like, I even had my 15-year-old friend from the Himalayas once told me during a stream something like, just stop what you're doing and check GitHub, I submitted a PR. And I checked, and he fixed the problem that I was working on while I was streaming and talking about it. So that's cool. That 15-year-old kid, like, one day I'm gonna say, like, I knew him when he was 15 and we worked on projects together because he's super smart. So he's a back-end guy. Also, I'd say adapt to feedback. So this is sometimes hard to do, right? Because you have your idea of how you want things to be. So it's been hard for me, but I do try to get feedback, try to get honest feedback, and then change up my stream, for that, because nobody's going to watch if they don't like the way you're doing it. So my stream has changed. Show your mistakes. Don't be afraid to show your mistakes. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know, when someone asks you, why did you do that? Sometimes the answer is, I don't really know. That's just how it was in the example in the docs, so I did it. Or, well, that's what Stack Overflow said. So I'd rather say that than try to make something up, and then all the new people that are watching will think that's really the right thing, and I've just ruined their learning experience. So it's okay. People are usually cool with it. They don't leave and say, you have no idea what you're doing. They usually tell me what the right way to do it is, or a better way. Also, it's okay to say nothing or thank you when someone tells you something that you already know. Alright, so I see this is a problem. I do see this a lot, especially on Twitter. Somebody will say something on Twitter that's not even a question, and then they get 50 comments from people explaining how they should really do it. Alright, and that's really annoying. But on the stream, when we're trying to keep things really positive, I always, when I get something like that, even if they're explaining to me some very simple thing, I usually say, oh, thanks. That's awesome. I'm glad you told me that. If they keep watching, they'll realize eventually that I already knew that. So I'm not worried about people thinking that I actually didn't know that. But if I were to be like, dude, are you serious? I know that. Maybe that person was sincere. Maybe they honestly thought they were helping, and I've just crushed them for the sake of my own ego, right? So that's a really hard one to do. Sometimes I'm just bite my lip and thanks man. But I think that's been important and encouraging for, there's a lot of people that are just really kind of full of themselves, and they're gonna have to deal with that at some point. But I don't want to make them feel bad for my ego, right? That's a really hard one. And the last one is just be positive and encouraging. There's enough crap that happens in our daily lives. Like if somebody's watching the show, I want them to feel better after watching this. Like occasionally I'll complain about stuff that's going on, a little bit, but ultimately I try to keep it positive. Because even if somebody doesn't learn anything on my stream, let's say they're really advanced and they learn nothing from me, if they feel better after watching, then I've done a service to somebody, right? Even if they decide they don't like being a developer and they were just checking it out, like, wow, this is terrible, I'd never want to sit at a desk and do this. At least they could say, wow, that was, he was a nice guy. I had a good time. There are people that watch that don't even really do that much front-end stuff, but they watch. They do development in some totally different area. But they just kind of think it's cool to hang out and talk with other developers. So I'll say that, don't let your personal situation kind of bleed over too much. It's good to connect with people authentically by sharing, but that negativity, like I said, I have depression. I try not to bring that in. I talk about it for the sake of helping other people in a situation, but I don't want to bring that in and just depress everybody. So anyway, I'm not a mental health expert. I don't know if that's healthy for me to do or not, but that's how I do it. I think that's my last slide. Let me check. Yeah, that's my last slide. So thank you so much for watching, and everybody looks super attentive, so thanks for not falling asleep either. And if anybody has any questions for me or ever wants to watch the live stream, it's Free Code Camp's YouTube channel. So they're well known enough. If you type it in, it'll come up. It's the first thing. Every day at 2 p.m. Eastern time is my normal streaming time, Monday through Friday. And I have 9 seconds left, so I'll let you go early.
Yeah.